President Trump is expected to make an announcement about Russia today, and Arizona state officials are demanding an investigation as an out-of-control fire burns along the Grand Canyon's north rim. Good morning, I'm Giles Snyder from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. As he was returning to the White House last night, President Trump again expressed dissatisfaction with Russian leader Vladimir Putin and confirmed to reporters at Joint Base Andrews that the U.S. will be sending Patriot air defense missiles to help Ukraine defend against Russian aerial attacks.
We basically are going to send them various pieces of very sophisticated military. They're going to pay us 100% for them.
The weapons shipments are expected to be on the agenda when President Trump meets with NATO Chief Mark Rutte at the White House today. President Trump is expected to make an announcement today about Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin has yet to agree to a ceasefire with Ukraine, despite repeated attempts by the Trump administration. Trump spoke to reporters last night, as NPR's Elena Moore reports.
Trump avoided directly answering a question on whether he would impose sanctions on Russia. Instead, he issued a new rebuke of the Kremlin's leader.
But I am very disappointed with President Putin, and I thought he was somebody that meant what he said, and he'll talk so beautifully and then he'll bomb people at night. We don't like that.
Trump's comments come days after he told NBC News that he would make a major statement regarding Russia. Congress also wants the president to crack down on Putin. There's a bipartisan effort in the Senate that would give Trump what Republican Senator Lindsey Graham described as a sledgehammer to go after Putin and the Russian economy. Elena Moore, NPR News, Washington.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he met today with Keith Kellogg, President Trump's special envoy, saying on social media that the two had a productive meeting. Kellogg arrived in Kyiv today for an expected week-long visit. Now to Gaza, where the Israeli military is acknowledging what it says was a technical error during a strike that killed 6 children. Here's NPR's Ruth Sherlock reporting.
The children are among at least 10 people killed as they waited to fill water containers in central Gaza. Their bodies were brought to the nearby Al-Auda hospital with more than a dozen wounded. The Israeli military said in a statement that it was targeting a member of the Islamic Jihad militia and that a technical error with the munition meant it fell, quote, dozens of meters from the target. The health ministry in Gaza says children and women make up more than half of the over 58,000 people killed in the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Ruth Sherlock, NPR News.
Israel, Hamas continuing talks in Qatar for a ceasefire deal in Gaza. President Trump says he hopes for a deal this week. NPR's Daniel Estrom reports from Tel Aviv, where Israeli officials are discussing a proposal to drive tens of thousands of Palestinians into a new zone in southern Gaza.
A major unresolved issue in the ceasefire talks is Israel's demand to keep troops in a strip of land in order to cordon off a zone in southern Gaza. A person briefed on the matter who spoke on condition of anonymity said Israeli mediators in the talks are presenting maps of proposed troop placements. That is connected to a proposal Israeli officials are discussing to build what they call a humanitarian city in southern Gaza, a large tent camp in an area guarded by soldiers to separate civilians from Hamas. A UN official says that would amount to mass displacement into, quote, concentration camps near the Egyptian border. Daniel Estrin, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
Back in Washington, the Trump administration is defending its latest mass deportation effort, including last week's immigration raids in Southern California. And the White House says it's going to appeal a federal ruling that blocks immigration officers from detaining people solely based on race. Here's NPR's Luke Garrett reporting.
A federal judge in California said Friday there was a mountain of evidence supporting claims that immigration arrests in Southern California were often based on race and ordered the Trump administration to stop the sweeps. Trump's border czar Tom Homan denies that immigration officers are racially profiling detainees, but admits to CNN people with legal status sometimes get caught up in the raids.
We do have collateral arrests in many areas because we're out looking for those public safety threats.
Democratic Senator Alex Padilla of California tells CNN people have reason to worry.
What if I was outside of Home Depot because I like to do some work around the house, not dressed in a suit? Would I be a target of ICE enforcement?
The White House says it arrested hundreds of people during the Thursday raids at 2 cannabis farms in Southern California. Luke Garrett, NPR News, Washington.
A makeshift memorial growing in Kerrville, Texas, just a few hundred feet from the Guadalupe River. The memorial pays tribute to the victims of the July 4th flooding that has killed at least 132 people. More than 160 people remain missing. Sally Aranda of Texas Public Radio reports.
Every day, more pictures are added to the memorial, and every picture is surrounded by flowers, turning what was a chain link fence into a tribute to the victims. Alicia Duff brought her daughter Eliana to the memorial after picking her up from a camp about an hour away. Duff decided to stop by because one of the Camp Mystic girls who died in the floods was Eliana's friend.
It's kind of hard to get through this stuff as an adult, you know.
I took a picture
It's a whole other thing is when, kids are losing a friend that's a child age. I think it's a whole nother process of grief.
The search and recovery mission was halted Sunday due to rain, but many still showed up at the memorial to pay their respects and grieve. I'm Celia Aranda in Kerrville.
The National Weather Service in Austin is warning of more flooding in the Texas Hill Country. It's been raining in the region again. Forecasters say more than 4 inches have fallen in some areas, and that more is on the way. Authorities in the Boston area investigating the cause of a deadly fire last night at an assisted living facility. At least 9 people were killed at the Gabriel House in Fall River and some 30 others injured, including several firefighters. Fall River Fire Chief Jeffrey Bacon says dozens of firefighters responded, many of them off duty.
Crews were met with heavy fire coming through the main entrance and multiple people hanging out the windows looking to be rescued.
Officials say some 70 people lived at Gabriel House. The city has opened a temporary shelter for those displaced. In Lexington, Kentucky, 2 people killed in a shooting at a church, and authorities say the suspected shooter also shot and wounded a Kentucky State Police trooper earlier in the day. Stan Ingold with member station WEKU has more.
Law enforcement officials say the suspect shot a Kentucky State Police trooper during a traffic stop before going to the church. Lexington Police Chief Lawrence Weathers says they are still investigating the suspect's motive.
The suspect fired his weapon at individuals on church property. Preliminary information indicates that the suspect may have had a connection to the individuals at the church.
Weathers says 2 female victims were pronounced dead at the scene. The other 2 victims, both males, were transported to a local hospital. One victim was reported to have sustained critical injuries. The other was reported to be in stable condition. The trooper is also listed in stable condition. Weathers says the suspect was shot by responding law enforcement and was pronounced dead at the scene. For NPR News, I'm Stan Ingold in Richmond, Kentucky.
In Arizona, parts of Grand Canyon National Park have been evacuated, and a historic lodge has been destroyed by an out-of-control 5,000-acre fire. Adrian Scabeland of member station KNAU reports that state officials are demanding an investigation.
The wind-driven Dragon Bravo fire jumped containment lines on the park's north rim over the weekend. On Saturday night, it grew 500 acres, destroying more than 50 structures, including the 1930s-era Grand Canyon Lodge. Park officials say the fire also burned the water treatment facility, releasing poisonous chlorine gas and forcing firefighters to pull back. The North Rim is closed for the season, while the popular South Rim remains open. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs called for an independent investigation into the fire on Sunday. She says Arizonans deserve to know why the federal government chose to manage the fire as a controlled burn during the hottest part of Arizona's summer. For NPR News, I'm Adrian Scabeland in Flagstaff.
I'm Giles Snyder. This is NPR News from Washington.